Hello, it's Heather Smith here and welcome to Cloud Stories, a podcast exploring the accounting and business apps community. Last week was a busy week in Australia with two overlapping accounting conferences, the Accounting and Business Expo in Melbourne and Accountex in Sydney. At the beginning, when we realised there'd be overlapping conferences, I contacted both conference organisers, letting them know that my focus is on providing the best outcomes for the accounting industry, and I was grateful to join the content or advisory crew of both conferences and was involved in delivering sessions at both conferences. So, close to 4,000 people attended the ABExpo. The first session of the day attracted a large crowd. It was a fireside chat with the longest serving treasurer in Australia's history, Peter Costello. Interestingly, there were a lot of new app vendors that I'd never heard of at ABExpo. I reckon I only knew about 5% of the vendors, and there was a jam-packed startup alley with about 20 new startup vendors. So it was fascinating to come across so many new solutions in the ecosystem. During the day, I delivered two popular and educational panel sessions, which we all had a lot of fun on. I also scurried around the conference hall, eating all the free popcorn and pistachio gelato. Thank you to the CPA for that. And finding interesting people to interview for the Cloud Stories podcast. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. So here is a lineup of who I interviewed, so you're aware of as you come across them in the session. So it's actually going to be in order, okay? So firstly, we have John Arago, the Managing Director at Microkeeper. Microkeeper is an expert HR roster, timesheet, payroll and workforce management solution, all in one spot, and I strategically partner with them. So that first interview with John Arago. Then was Lucas Finch, Global Head of Wellbeing at Xero. Daniel Rock, Global Head of Sales at Sweetfiles. Nick Barla, Managing Director at Accounts NextGen IQ. Daniel Spitty, CEO at Everperform. Ray Wang, CEO at Lucas Plus. And Laura Binns, General Manager at the conference organisation Terrapin. And yes, I managed to interview more Daniels than I did females. I apologise for that oversight. I hope you enjoy the episodes. And now, if this is your first time listening to the Cloud Stories podcast, please subscribe and let me know where you're listening from on social media. You can find me at Heather Smith AU everywhere. I'll leave you to enjoy the interviews. Hello, John, and welcome to the Cloud Stories podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No worries at all. Thanks for being here.
So can I ask you, for our listeners, can you explain who you are?
Yep.
And just give us a little bit about your background?
For sure. So my name's John Arago. I'm the co-founder of Microkeeper. Currently, day-to-day, I'm the CEO. My background is in engineering. I'm a mechanical engineer. That's how sort of the whole project started with Microkeeper. And I sort of have a fantastic team that I work with every day, and we really try and improve the space that we're in via innovation and sort of thinking outside of the box.
So what have you seen today at the Accounting Business Expo that excites you?
Yeah, look, what excites me is the new faces. So typically, like, you'll come to an event like this and you might see some of the old faithfuls, which we definitely do, but there's so many new faces and people wanting to talk and obviously interrelate and see how their product and your product can work better together. So that's been really awesome. I've really enjoyed that. Yeah,
I think it's really important that vendors talk and listen to their clients and potential clients, and that's what's actually really great about the conference opportunity. So can you share with us what Microkeeper does?
Yeah, absolutely. So Microkeeper is sort of an end-to-end core HR, rostering, time and attendance, payroll and STP platform. So we sort of look at the hire to retire kind of scenario. So we can manage your staff member all the way through from the day they start to the day they finish, and obviously streamline all of the processes in one platform. So it makes it easier for management, obviously high-end exec team, but as well the employee. So they've got a one spot that they can go to for all their reference material of the work sort of life.
How long does it take to plan and implement?
Depending on the business, typically between sort of 6 to 8 weeks, and we do that because different pay cycles. So, it's fortnightly, or if it's weekly, we can do a few pay cycles together to ensure that we're getting, accurate data and data that obviously is reflective of what they're asking for.
So, do you have any new features and functionalities that have come out in the last year that people need to know about?
We do. So we've got a number of sort of new features. We're obviously constantly releasing, but some that are pretty exciting is we had our shift bidding feature, which was the ability for businesses to say, hey, these are the shifts that I need fulfilled. Who is out there that can do them? That was really exciting. We also released it's just tripped my brain. It is the, what is it? The Vivo Check. There it is, sorry. The Vivo Check. So we've just released Vivo Checking, which is awesome. So a lot of our larger employers who maybe have employees on visas and have had the task and tedious task of constantly monitoring that and making sure the changes have been obviously implemented or updated, etc., we've now taken all of that away and it's fully automated.
Excellent. The first one that you mentioned, the bidding process, it sounds like very gamification.
Yeah, kind of. And it's really good because what we sort of thought how it would be used would be like, okay, hey, I've got all of these shifts and who can do them so we can just fit into your schedule. It's actually sort of almost had a 180. So when you have managers who say, oh, Pete has called in sick today, I need to fill that shift now. Instead of picking the phone up and making 25 phone calls, they just go, hey, I've got this shift, I need it to be filled ASAP, sends it out to all the people who are available, who currently aren't working and have the appropriate skill sets, and the first person can click on it and bang, you can fill that shift instantly. So it's really cool.
Yeah, and people are looking for more hours. It's a really good functionality. It empowers them to
of course,
achieve that. So, what do you have any new features and functionalities planned for 2023?
We do have a bunch of features planned for 2023. Probably like everyone talking about sort of AI and all of that sort of thing. We want it just to be a more I suppose intuitive, that it knows what you want it to do. And an example of that would be, people may process their superannuation, let's say it's monthly, on the 15th. So why should you have to go in, review something and click a button to do it? Why couldn't the system say, hey, Heather, here's your super for the month, it's $22,000. If you approve, that's all you have to do. So you can just go, yep, I'm all good for that. And then the next day or whenever it is, it'll automatically process that super for you. So trying to, I suppose, take a bit off the table for, the tedious jobs that just have to get done, that's almost just like a tick and flick, and allowing the system to obviously do that for you is sort of, some of the things that we want to do moving forward.
That sounds brilliant. So, some of the trends that are predicted for the accounting and bookkeeping industry for 2023 is that it's the year of saying no, it's the year of putting up boundaries, it's the year of finding space for yourself. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, typically in our office, we don't like to say no. We like to help empower people, and a lot of people that come to us, usually with questions or suggestions, it's always to make their life easier. So if we were to sort of shut down and say no, I don't think that would work for us. But I get where they're coming from, because focus is a big thing. And if you continue to say yes and stretch yourself, you basically do everything reasonable. You're not doing everything amazingly. So I totally get that from where an accountant sort of sits. And, it's always let's get bigger, and otherwise get out. But it's like, well, what about the service? As you get bigger, are you stretching yourself and your service is going down? So, yeah, I've sort of got mixed thoughts on it. Mine personally in our business, we definitely have a focus. And so we like everyone to sort of be on board, and we sort of have a no passengers policy. So, that sort of...
I like that. I've never heard that. Everyone be on board with a no passengers policy. So they're all the bus driver?
Well, basically, you want to be in charge. Like, you want to be a team. So let's not be a passenger in the team. It was actually an old rowing coach of mine. He used to say no passengers, even though we're a crew. And it was kind of like everyone's pulling their weight, and they're working toward a common goal. And we want everybody on board with that common goal. So we want, if you've got a great idea or you think there's an improvement, bring that to the forefront. Don't just sit back and sit on your hands with that. Be proactive.
So it's more like a Flintstones bus where everyone's feet are
Correct, on the
pushing
ground.
you along
That's
and
it.
on the ground, yeah. So how can our listeners get in contact with you, John?
Yeah, really easy. So you can jump on our website. There's a few really easy ways to do it. You can either give us a call. We're always happy to talk to you via our 1-800 number. Alternatively, you can go through our email system, or finally, you can book a meeting with us. So just jump online, go to our meeting book slot, book us a meeting, and you can have a one-on-one with myself or my team.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Cloud Stories podcast. Really appreciate it.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Hello, Lucas. Welcome to the Cloud Stories podcast.
Thanks for having me on, Heather. This is really fun.
Can you explain to our listeners who you are and where you're from?
Right, so my name is Lucas Finch. I am the Global Director of Wellbeing at Xero.
So last time we met, Lucas, we were on a tropical Cairns, weren't we?
Oh, it was so warm. Take me back.
So we attended the Tropical Innovation Festival, which was one of 3 innovation festivals that the former Smart State, we're no longer called the Smart State, but the Queensland holds. But today I find you at the Accounting and Business Expo. So can you let me know a bit about what your role is at Xero?
So my role at Xero is to develop and implement a wellbeing strategy, and 80% of that is looking at our Zeros, our staff, and 20% of it is looking at supporting our customers, small businesses and partners.
So what advice do you have for the accountants and bookkeepers out there at the moment? It seems to be, we've been bruised for the last 3 years, but it seems to be continuing troubled times. What strategies do you suggest that they undertake?
So I think a lot of people look at wellbeing as those peripheral things, like the fruit bowls and the yoga classes. And my mission is to really emphasize the opportunity to build wellbeing in as part of how you do work. Like, I believe that work is really, really good for us, like in and of itself. We get meaning, purpose, relationships, efficacy. So that's my starting position. And so how we do this, there's a really handy model, and it's called the Job Demands Control model, or Job Demands Resources model. There's actually a couple of names for it. And what it's looking at a high level is that, so we know, for instance, in small business is an active type of employment. So you've got actually high demands, like long hours and things, but you've also got a resource, which is your sense of control, giving you the ability about when and how to choose that offsets some of those demands. So at a high level, this is a really useful strategy for understanding the terrain of factors that impact people's well-being in a workplace.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And it's, I think we're seeing it's really important to put boundaries in place, isn't it? And to have those boundaries in place so we have space and capacity.
That's right. And so some other examples of things that would give you a resource are things like time to recover. And so putting in like time to switch off, separate, recover from work, super important. The sense of control is another resource that we have. So that would be being able to control your day, design your day where you can actually set up time for focus time, away from digital distraction, which we know is a sort of extra demand in today's hybrid and digital world.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I very much advocate. Time blocking, structure your day, be aware of what you're planning to do in the day, and give yourself space for thinking, and for me, going and playing with Chester the Border Collie.
Well, exactly, and that's what fills your cup. That's the resource, and I think it's a high level. That's what I'm talking about today. And actually, it's what I'm passionate about. Xero is like, I was a small business for so long, and I believe that Xero is one of those great resources for a small business, so that you can help manage those demands.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can people get in contact with you and find out more about what you're advocating?
Wellbeing@xero.com. So that's where you can find me, and I'd love to hear what your experience is, what opportunities you're seeing, and to stay in touch that way. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the Cloud Stories podcast,
Thanks,
Lucas.
Heather.
Hello, Daniel. Welcome to the Cloud Stories podcast.
Hey, Heather. Thank you very much.
Can you explain to our listeners who you are, where you're from, what you do?
Sure. So my name's Daniel Rock. I am the Global Head of Sales for Sweet Files. who is the premier document management system for the accounting industry, based out of Wellington, New Zealand, but obviously here at ABE, which is really cool.
Awesome. I didn't realise you were in Wellington. You recently had an earthquake, didn't you?
Well, thankfully, I'm not in Wellington. I'm actually in Auckland, but our head office is in Wellington. So they had an earthquake, but I was quite fortunate in that we don't get as shaky in Auckland. We get cyclones and volcanoes, but we don't get earthquakes.
You had a flood.
Yeah,
you had a flood.
We were underwater.
Yeah. Oh goodness. I hope you survived that. I hope that was okay for you.
Very close to us. So I'm on top of a hill, so we were actually okay at my house, but literally a kilometre down the road was like head high underwater. So.
Absolutely devastating, and to see everything happen all at once was very traumatic. So I'm glad to hear that you are okay, and hopefully all our listeners are okay. So we're at the Accounting and Business Expo here in Melbourne. What have you seen today that excites you?
A lot of people really interested in making changes, which I think is good. A lot of people coming up, and I think in previous years when we've done these things, it's someone saying, well, what is document management? I don't really understand. Now it's like, I've got this problem, can you help me fix it? Which is obviously a nicer conversation to have rather than trying to explain what it is what you do. People are now going, well, actually, I know I've got this pain point. I'm struggling with this. Can you help? So that's been really, really good for us to have those conversations. Yeah.
And I guess that's the fact that people are more further along on their modern practice journey.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that. I've been around the accounting industry now for probably close to 10 years, like in various roles. And the conversations change a little bit, but the goals don't. The people are still trying to work out how to be smarter, how to do more advisory, how to get rid of some of the mundane and the compliance piece. And so I think people are now realising that, with ChatGPT and AI tools, a lot of that compliance stuff, if all they do is compliance and routine, it's going to get taken away from them. So they have to adapt to modernise.
Absolutely. So can you share with us a little bit for people listening in what Sweet Files does?
So we're about taking sort of the mundane out of your day. So Julian, one of my colleagues, he likes to use we're the Swiss Army knife when it comes to documents. So anything you need to do with a document, whether that's create one from a template, send it out for digital signing, collaborate with clients over a client portal, send tasks for approval, anything along that whole spectrum, including email management, we make that easy, simple, and repeatable.
Awesome. So how long does it take to plan and implement?
We can have people up and running within 2 weeks of the date they sign a contract. Like an implementation can take 48 hours. It's probably one of the biggest strengths that Sweet Files has is the learning curve is incredibly shallow. So it's really, really easy for people to pick up and run with. They don't need loads of training. They don't have to worry about trying to work out how do I file things. It's very intuitive. It's what they're used to using, but it's simple, but it's so powerful still.
So what new features and functionalities did you release in the last year?
Oh, quite a lot, especially around our digital signing piece. So digital signing, we now have sequential signing. We have signing template emails. We've got the ability to be able to send, which I've still never quite understood, but be able to send a signature to two people with the same email address, which apparently for those mum and pup businesses is really important. So we now have that feature. Sneak preview that we launch our carbon integration on the 22nd of March. So that's coming next week, which is super exciting. So there's been a lot happening. Awesome.
And what features and functionalities can you tell us about that you've got planned coming in for 2023?
There's a few. There'll be more of our digital signing coming up around that. We are going to be making changes around our template management, so it's going to be some GUI type interfaces. What you see is what you get kind of stuff, so drag and drop, which will be really exciting. There are some more integrations coming, which I can't quite tell who yet, but they are on their way as well.
Yeah, it does seem that the industry seems to be growing through integrations and networks and partnerships, which is very interesting to see.
Yeah, and that's a big point of what we've been trying to do. We want to be the best document management system there can be. We're not trying to be a practice management light, or we're not trying to do other things. So we want to partner with other people that are really good at what they do. And if you look at our infrastructure, whether it's Great Soft, whether it's Zero Practice Manager, whether it's Carbon or Account Kit, or the two ATO providers.
Yeah.
We want to work with other people that are the best at what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2023, one of the trend predictions is that we're going to see a lot of practice transformation change. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think people are working out that they need to adapt and change and work out how to be more efficient in what they do. I think when you're heading into what could potentially be a down economy, which actually often isn't a down economy for the accounting industry because they often get busier, but they need to be efficient because clients are in a down economy, so they don't want to be paying for routine stuff. They want to be paying for the value that their accountant can offer. So accounting firms have to get up and be able to transform their practice to be able to add that value for their clients rather than just doing the compliance work, because clients aren't going to want to pay for that.
Yeah, yes, it is certainly a lot of changes happening. So how can people get in contact with you, Daniel?
So they can email me directly, which is daniel@sweetfiles.com, or they can email sales@sweetfiles.com. Either of those will work, or just visit our website, which is www.sweetfiles.com. Any of those will work.
Thank you so much for talking with us today on the Cloud Stories podcast. Really appreciate it.
No problem, Heather. Thank you.
Hello, Nick, and welcome to the Cloud Stories podcast.
Hi, thanks Heather. Thanks for talking to me.
Can you explain to our listeners who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
All right, Heather, my name is Nick. I am a chartered accountant by background, and we are currently showcasing NextGen IQ, a training platform to resolve accountants' training needs. And second platform is the bot, which automates the entire bookkeeping and tax return functions.
Goodness. So what have you seen at the Accounting and Business Expo conference today that excites you?
I've seen a lot of interest and accounting firms looking to automate their accounting practices. And that's where we come in to help them in automating their training and processes, business processes.
Okay. Can you explain to us a bit more about how you do that and what your solution does?
Absolutely. NextGen IQ, think of it as Netflix for accountants. There are more than 550 training videos on taxation, Div 7A, FPD, CGT, wherein employees and accountants can self-learn themselves. And this training problem is every accounting firm is facing, including us, where we have to train and retrain the new members. So instead of retraining member yourself, all you have to do is give them access to the platform and they can self-learn on various aspects of accounting and taxation.
How long does it take for a company to kind of implement it in the firm? I imagine it's not too long at all.
Not at all. I mean, the platform is ready to go. The moment you sign up, the platform is yours to use. However, we do offer customization and white labeling for the accounting firms. If they want to bring in their own content into the platform, our firm can help them bring into the content.
Oh, that's really interesting. Do you have any plans for new developments in 2023?
Yes, we are adding more content on a regular basis, and we are developing a bot which will automate the entire bookkeeping and tax function.
Okay, so when are you planning to roll that out?
Well, it's an ongoing, development process.
Yeah.
Wherein we are regularly updating the content and also the bot. So it's an ongoing process, I would say. There's no deadline because with the technology and the landscape we are in, it's continuously changing and evolving.
Yes.
So
So in terms of compliance, how much can the bot take over?
Right. So the bot currently is able to process bookkeeping end-to-end and prepare BASes.
Yes.
And even send the queries to the clients automatically.
Yeah.
On the taxation side, it's actually able to prepare individual and company tax returns and compare it with the previous years.
So are you completely replacing a bookkeeper?
Well, we are calling it a bot keeper. And,
isn't there another company called BotKeeper?
Yes, there is. That's in US.
Yes.
We are primarily in Australian market.
Yes.
Because with accounting, and it's unique to every country.
Okay.
And we, being a chartered accountancy firm, we understand the intricacy of Australian accounting industry.
Yeah.
To answer your question, whether a bot will actually replace a human or not, only time can tell that.
Yeah.
But we definitely need a human to supervise a bot.
Okay.
And to step in where the bot fails.
Okay. And in terms of artificial intelligence, obviously your solution is using a lot of artificial intelligence. How do you see that evolving into the future?
With AI, especially AI is making it's making waves because of ChatGPT, as we all know.
Yeah.
AI is an ever-evolving technology, and no one really knows where it will lead and what use case business will have. I believe sometime not in very distant future, AI will be able to automate a lot of manual processes for accounting firm, which will include client onboarding, bookkeeping definitely, passes, even downloading reports from Aereo. It's an ever evolving technology, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, look, it is interesting because for the last 10 years we've been told the robots are going to take over accounting roles, but we're sitting here in 2023 and no one can find staff and everyone's working long hours. So we definitely need something to happen. We need both more people coming through and we need more automation of the processes.
Absolutely, Heather. I believe, when in 1960s, 70s, when computers are being launched, everybody was scared that computer will take over human jobs and there will be no jobs. But that didn't happen. What happened was the opposite. We needed more jobs. We are not going to replace humans completely, but I think the skill set which will demand from our team will change.
Yeah.
We won't demand more of a compliance and a bookkeeping function. We will want more of advisory and complex analytical skills which we will need from a team. So skill set has to evolve with the changing times, I believe.
And again, that's another trend we're seeing going to 2023 and beyond, in that people need to adopt micro skills and focus on niche skill areas.
Absolutely. And you can see that now accounting firms are focusing on client communication when they hire.
Yeah.
So they don't want the accountant just to be good with numbers, but also with the client dealings.
Yeah.
So skill set definitely has been evolving.
Awesome. Thank you so much for talking to us on the Cloud Stories podcast. How can people get in contact with your company?
So they can reach to me on my LinkedIn profile, which is Nick Balla, or they can book a discovery call to see how our bots can help their accounting firms at www.accountsnextgen.com.au. Yeah, it's BHALLA.
Thank you so much for being on the Cloud Stories podcast.
Thank you, Heather, for having me.
Hey, Daniel. Welcome to the Cloud Stories podcast. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Heather.
Appreciate having you on. So, can you explain to our listeners who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Can do. So my name's Daniel Spitty. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ABExpo. We're a proudly Melbourne-based company, so it wasn't too far for me to come here today. And we do performance analytics and advisory solely for accounting firms. And what is performance analytics? Well, it's really looking at all of the elements around holistic performance of accountants, advisors, their managers and leaders, and really driving and helping the performance improvement of accountants, employees, managers and leaders, using data as really a validation for what is really going on, but also where the improvement for that particular person might be.
It seems to be one of the favourites in the industry, and many people are shouting about your solution. So well done on that. I didn't realise it was only aimed at accounting firms. Why only aim at accounting firms? Surely these metrics are global, universal?
They are. However, we came to a decision, probably led by myself, it'd be 5 years ago now, and really we wanted to be the best for one industry rather than being good for all. And that was really something that was led by, I suppose, my personal ambition with the company, to be able to really advocate that we are the best at what we do for the people and the tribe that we're doing it for. So that's not to say that we won't branch out to others into the future, but really we're big fans of accountants. We know the duress and really the athletic nature. Not so much when you look at athletes and advisors and accountants, you think of the same thing. But there are so many parallels from where we started, which was in sport and data analytics, to what we're now appreciating in the accounting industry. Obviously, being a numbers industry. There are far more parallels between, I like to sort of joke, athletes and advisors than we probably realise.
How we can work 80-hour weeks, is that what you're saying?
Maybe. Well, that's why we're here to help.
Very good. So what have you seen at the Accounting and Business Expo today that excites you?
Well, actually, I just saw a man walk past, Adam Irwin. He was on stage before, really talking about themes around leadership, strategy, and what the future-proofing initiatives are that firms like his, that he leads, he's from Pitcher Partners in Sydney, what strategic initiatives are they most focused on at the moment? And that for me was refreshing. I know Adam quite well, he's one of our key clients, but really around the topics of people, around the challenges around staff and undersupply of talent right now, and really what firms can actually do about combating and overcoming that challenge rather than sort of hitting and hoping that it'll just go away.
Yeah, look, many times people who start an accounting practice do it because they're good accountants and not necessarily have that human leadership skills and not necessarily that business skills, even though they can coach businesses, they're not necessarily within their own practice. So how does talking about the undersupply of staff at the moment, or the staffing crisis at the moment, does Everperform help you in that way?
Absolutely. So sort of one of the major shifts that we've made as a company over the last 6 months is I like to say that Everperform had a big love heart around its brand. We were really focused around wellbeing, particularly over the last 2 to 3 years, around really helping firms support their people through COVID and remote working, and then obviously retention was a big theme of last year and still is. However, really seeing firms focusing on 2023 around performance, and wellbeing is still an element of overall performance, but we're seeing a far more balanced approach. And really for firms to understand, and where Everperform helps them understand, is, well, where are people spending their time first and foremost? We get that data from the timesheets and the practice systems. And coming from that baseline approach and data-driven approach, we can actually therefore reveal where people are actually spending their time, whether that's meeting the expectations of where managers and leaders will actually want their people to be spending their time, and is that the most valuable allocation that they could be spending doing work A versus work B versus maybe not work C.
Yeah.
So really coming at it from a data and visibility point of view, because we're often finding that because everyone is so busy, it's easier just to keep going with the status quo rather than really just say, stop, everyone just breathe for a moment, this is what's actually going on, and let's actually go and tackle this problem once and for all. I
do a calendar audit, because I'm just a micro business, but I do a calendar audit every month and assess where my time has been spent, and the infrastructure around doing that has improved over time to do that, but I find it like being in mud. Not wanting to do it, but knowing that it benefits me in the long run, and I improve in the long run in doing that, which I imagine a solution like yours, if you don't have the data in front of you, you can't measure anything, you can't improve it. And
time's the most valuable currency that we've all got. So
that we all give away freely. Like you stopping for this interview. No one puts boundaries around time, and we really, really need to, especially in 2023. So how long does it take to plan and implement a solution? How long does it take to plan and implement?
So as I've just described, we've sort of shifted quite significantly as a company over the last 6 months. Everperform was very much a technology-based company 6 months ago, and we've just balanced that out again with the advisory components of what we're now able to provide through our performance advisory team. So 6 months ago, the question would have been answered very differently, but now we really start with just understanding where the firms are currently at, and that can take as little as 2 weeks just to get an understanding of where the actual performance opportunities lie across your teams, and understanding the performance profiles of each of your individual people. We then engage on a performance strategy, and then the implementation of Everperform from a continuous performance perspective can then start within a month, which is ongoing. So it doesn't take a lot of energy and effort at all, and particularly when firms are so busy and they're looking at big efforts of change, it's just very difficult for us to grapple with them in those moments to be able to say, yeah, we're going to spend half your week now doing this. It's just not working. So we've just really streamlined our implementation to very low touch but high impact, and that seems to be working really effectively.
Yeah, that seems to be one of the maturity strategies of apps coming to market, is they work out how to do the implementation. And I know I'm going through an implementation with testing a solution at the moment, and they're like, keep booking the appointments with us, Heather. Don't ignore the appointments. I'm like, oh, but I don't have the time. But we really need to make the time. If you You absolutely need to make the time if you want to implement something successfully.
Yeah, we're finding that there's a lot of value in providing our clients with shortcuts. So things that they would do within our platform or other platforms that might take them 4 hours to do.
Yeah.
If we can provide that in 14 minutes and cut to the chase, then that's something that they're really valuing. And again, that's sort of under the arm of, yes, we've got our performance technology, but the performance advisory is really helping them not only get to those shortcuts quicker, but also build their capability up in maybe the not so sort of technical areas of whether it be management or leadership or people leadership. Those areas are certainly in demand right now, but we're finding just no firms have got the time to be able to do it well. So this on-the-job training and capability development that we're able to provide is really having a wonderful impact.
Yeah, well, at least you've got something there to measure, because it's so hard to measure loss of staff or the inability to attract staff or culture. So at least you've got something there around that. So have you released any features and functionalities in the last year that our audience need to know about, our listeners need to know about?
Well, it's good timing, because in the next few weeks we're releasing our Performance Passport, which is really the homepage for every individual to go to understand themselves in, again, a very short period of time. So that'll be upcoming around the Easter time frame. So we've been working on that over the last 6 months and really excited to release that. So that's getting some great traction. We've had some awesome feedback from our early adopter clients so far on that.
Excellent.
So that's a big thing that's coming up.
Excellent. And it does seem that your solution seems to be well loved globally. So well done on that, because I'm seeing in my global forums there, it's like the only solution that people are talking about in terms of that space.
That's great to hear.
In my secret forums. So what are you looking forward to in 2023?
Oh, a lot. I think, just personally, I'm very proud of the company that we've been able to create and get to this point. And I think I'm most excited about, we've really got clarity around where we now can play and where we can help our market. And, we've been very thankful for clients that are still with us today, but maybe those clients that are not with us today that have helped us get to this point, because we have learnt, we've taken on the feedback and we've adopted and improved to become the company that we are now. And I think we're so well placed to be able to really make a significant impact to the challenges that the industry right now is really feeling, and just looking for answers that we are really confident that we can provide for them. So I think 2023 will go down as a year for us, which is going to be really exciting, and the impact will be able to be measured because that's in essence what we do. So if we've got more people within the industry that have got higher wellbeing scores, higher performance scores overall, then that's something that we can advocate for and something that we're going to be really proud of.
That's awesome. So how can people get in contact with you and find out more about the solution?
Just LinkedIn is probably the best medium for us, as well as going to our website, everperform.com, and follow the links to get in touch with us there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Daniel, for being on the show.
Thanks to the ever colourful Heather Smith. Thank you.
Cheers. Awesome. Thank you for that. Hello, Ray. Welcome to the Cloud Stories podcast. Thanks so much for joining us.
That's okay, no problem. Yeah, pleasure. Thanks, Heather.
Can you explain to our listeners who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Okay, sure. Hi, guys. My name's Ray Wayne. I'm a co-founder at Luca Plus. So we are actually a fintech platform that helps business to solve cash flow issues.
Awesome, awesome. So what have you seen at the conference, the Accounting and Business Expo here in Melbourne, that excites you?
I guess it's it's a great event, and also thanks for Store and Chalk to give us this free booth. It's always good to have a free stuff, right? It's great events definitely, because there's a lot of accountants and bookkeepers going around. Then I've seen some pretty well-known accounting firms go around, so which is great. So it gives us an opportunity to really talk to them, because accountants and bookkeepers are actually quite a strong channel partner of our business. So it's great.
Absolutely. So can you explain to our listeners what your solution, Luca Plus, does?
Okay, cool. So, as I mentioned before, we help small, medium-sized business to solve cash flow issues, help them from two different angles. One is to help them to get paid faster from their customer. Another way is to help them to reduce stress on making payments to their suppliers. We have a killer product. It's called Luca Pay. It's kind of like a B2B buy now pay later solutions to help business solve short-term cash flow issues. It's just been doing really well. We didn't expect that to have that much demand from other business owners and also from channel partners, because they are keen to. For channel partners, they are keen to help their clients to solve their issues, which is great. So we can help them out, and they can help their clients.
That's excellent. And your stand, you are what I would call startup alley, but you have been very busy all morning. I've been spending all morning trying to get an interview with you. Yeah, that's right. It's a busy day, just promoting our business to all the accountants, bookkeeper, and at the same time, got phone calls from customers, clients, and the internal team. Just, a co-founder from a startup business is like, we all have to wear 10 hats in the business, right? Yeah, so I'm also the HR lady too. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. So, how long does it take to plan an implementation and to implement?
You're talking about from a zero to a product, or
how long does it take to implement your solution?
Oh, implement solution. Because I always like to plan well. So first go out to talk to our potential customers. That's normally would take up to 3 to 6 months sometimes. Yeah, just really go out, talk to them, get enough feedback, and then come back to build it. But how fast can you build the product really depends on how complicated your product is. But it's nothing wrong just to build a prototype, start going out to talk to your potential leads or potential customers. So I would say 3 to 6 months to go out. Yeah.
For an accountant or a bookkeeper who's referring this solution into another business, how long would it take for them to implement it?
For our solutions, it really depends on how fast they can type. So it could be like 30 seconds, or it could be half an hour if they are slow typer. But yeah, it's really, for our solutions, it's pretty quick, because step one, we ask them to link their accounting software with our platform so we can understand much better and deeper about their business performance. And that takes probably a few seconds, depending on the internet speed. And then, everything will start from that.
And have you released any new features and functionalities in the last year?
Yeah, definitely. So Luca Pay is actually a brand new solutions. That's actually one of our killer feature and product on the platform. So to help business to solve short-term cash flow issues. I think we launched that product April last year, and by November last year, our revenue basically grew by 300% based on that product. Yeah, so it's really great. Yeah.
Excellent. So, what new features and functionalities do you have planned for 2023?
2023. So the plan is first. I think we'll spend a little bit of time to polish the Luca Pay products to make it. So maybe implement some reporting. So let the users to know. There's a few like updates of what actually happened after they use Luca Pay, so help them to better manage their balance sheets on the liability side, make sure that they don't go crazy about that, and also at the same time spend a little bit of time on the accounting automation parts as well. For example, like I mentioned at the beginning, we do help business to chase out for late payers. So that can help them to get paid quicker and faster from their clients, and also a little bit accounting automation on managing their billing side for their suppliers. So it really help them to save more time and to make everything much more efficient.
How can our listeners get in contact with Luca Plus?
They can search on our website, lucaplus.com. And then, connect me on LinkedIn. Search Ray Wang at Luca Plus.
Thank you so much, Ray, for talking to us.
Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you, Heather.
Awesome. Hey, Laura. Welcome to the Cloud Stories podcast. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, Heather. Nice to be back in person at the Accounting and Business Expo.
Very exciting to be here in Melbourne at the ABExpo. Can you share with our listeners who you are, where you work, and what you do.
Awesome. I'm Laura Binns. I'm the General Manager for Terrapin Asia, and I run the Accounting and Finance show in Singapore. So we bring together, an equivalent crowd to the one that we have here at the Accounting and Business Expo in Melbourne, but from across Asia. So predominantly Singapore, the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, and so on. And we create a market where accountants and finance professionals from businesses of all shapes and sizes can learn about the latest solutions available to them to make their lives easier.
So I have been going around asking everyone what has excited them about today. So I should ask you that question, but let me tell you a few things. They've said they've met lots of new faces. They've met lots of people who are really well along on their digitalisation journey and are ready for the more complicated solutions. Yeah. And they're having some just great conversations. So well done to you. But what excites you about the ABExpo?
Yeah, I think to echo what you've already been told, it's lovely to see a lot of fresh faces. We've got a huge number of brand new solutions who I think are sponsoring exhibiting for the first time. We're down in Melbourne, so we are seeing a whole lot of brand new people through the door. And I think that's something that we can really kind of echo the sentiment of in the Asia show. We want to keep it fresh, make sure that people are coming down each year and they're learning something new. As you say, we've been running the show in Singapore since 2018, and when we launched, a huge proportion of our attendees were still doing everything in Excel, or the cloud was a novel concept, and the journey that they've gone on over recent years is incredible. And with the help of the Singapore government and the markets around the world, we're seeing a real evolution. So in a similar vein to the show here in Melbourne, we're looking to take it to another level, to add more advanced solutions, to bring in businesses from, finance leaders, I should say, from larger organisations, and really expand the show so that we position it as the technology event for businesses and practices of all shapes and sizes, so that there's something for everyone.
Absolutely. So what has been really noticeable and exciting about this show, as the hype girl, there was a lot of apps. There's the hype girl for accounting apps. There was a lot of apps I had never heard of. And I am walking around. There's a lot of new vendors here doing some exciting stuff, a lot of maybe overlap because we need some more forecasting solutions. But obviously they've not found it in all the other ones. But there is a lot of new apps here. That's really exciting. And it's really exciting they've got the opportunity to have a stand here and communicate and connect with the audience.
Absolutely. It feels like a real learning opportunity and a real marketplace, everybody gets a chance to learn something, I think, coming down to this event and see something new.
Yeah. And so let's circle back to the Singapore conference that you're holding in October.
11th of October.
So I'm planning on coming out for that. And there's actually a lot of excitement in the industry for people. A number of people have said that they're actually going to come out for that. I think I look like I had me and Lilette and Sarah Lawrence looked like we had too good a time last time. So I think we're getting a lot of people, because Singapore is a truly, it's my favourite place in the world. It's truly magical, and it's so exciting to be there. So really appreciative that we can come there. But if people are interested in either exhibiting or speaking in Singapore, what should they do?
To get involved for this year? Yeah, absolutely. If we've got people listening who are curious to learn more about the show, whether they want to sponsor, exhibit, speak, attend, they can find out more at our website, at the Accounting and Finance Show Asia website, and they can also reach out to us directly. I'm on LinkedIn, very easy to find there. We've got a whole host of opportunities for companies of all shapes and sizes to get involved, and even if you're not directly running your firm or running your business in the Asia market already, as you say, it's an interesting place to be. So even if it's just to come and have a look and see what's going on in Singapore and across Southeast Asia, it's worth a visit.
Well, and it's CPD,
yeah.
And it might be, not that I'm giving tax advice, but it might be tax deductible. Yeah. Not that I'm giving tax advice. And I'm very, very, very big on changing your perspective, and I think that by going to an overseas conference, it helps shatter your perspective. And even if they're doing something perhaps slower or perhaps a little bit. They're doing it differently. How did they evolve that way? That really interests that whole side of things. How did they evolve that way? Because some things they're doing really well, and other things, okay, we can suggest something better here. So,
absolutely,
just
a new perspective, and I think, whether you're working in Asia or looking at that as a market or not, as you say, it just brings another perspective to see how another part of the world is doing things and maximising the technology and tools that are now available.
How long does it take you to plan a conference?
It never really stops. We kind of finish one and go straight into the next. So, when it comes to booking big venue space, we kind of get our dates locked in up to 18 months in advance. So it's an ongoing, continuous cycle where, we finish one and then we start to think, right, okay, what went well this year? What do people want more of? What have we done to death, and what can we kind of trim out for next year? And how do we keep it fresh? How do we keep offering an event and a networking opportunity that gives people something new every year and attracts a new crowd?
So I'll offer myself up as Switzerland, but can we not have overlapping conferences in the future, please?
Yeah, I mean, ideally we want a nice, clear dates where nobody has anything else that could be getting them to have a reason not to come to Singapore.
Yeah.
So at the moment we're pretty clear. If people are thinking about travelling to Singapore, we do have an event that is running in the same week that we are overlapping with, but it's complementary, I'd say, rather than directly competing. So there is another event if people want to have another opportunity to come down. There's lots going on in Singapore always.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for talking with us, and I'm sure people can find about all of the events on the Terrapin website, but I really appreciate you talking with us. And if people want to get in contact with you, how should they do that?
Yeah, I think the easiest way is to probably find me on LinkedIn. It's I'm on there every day. Every alert pops up on my phone, so I'm pretty contactable there. And you can search for me under Laura Binns at Terrapin.
You need to sit in on one of these sessions on boundaries and turning off your notifications and giving yourself some space.
For sure, yeah. Okay. Maybe I need to kind of... I've put on the 9:30 p.m. cut-off, so after 9:30 p.m. Singapore time, it gets a bit harder. Maybe I need to bring that forward to 6.
Maybe after the next couple of days when this is over, you can put it down a bit earlier.
Yeah,
what earth can happen in the conference world at 9:30 p.m. at night that you need to deal with?
Correct. Yeah, I need to readdress some of those work-life balance aspects.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Heather. Take care.
The Accounting and Business Expo is organised by Terrapin, and I've enjoyed working with them for many years. The organisers have the philosophy that what Heather wants, Heather gets, which is a philosophy I fully approve of. I'm given free range to design the session, the content, and select the panellists. I'm also excited to share that I'm a confirmed speaker at their Singapore conference, the Accounting and Finance Show Asia 2023 on the 10th and 11th of October, and the Sydney conference, the Accounting and Business Expo, on the 22nd and 23rd of November. So if you fancy a trip to Singapore or Sydney, register on the website to find out more information. Also let me know if you're attending and maybe you can join me on one of my panel sessions. So a number of Queenslanders actually flew down to Melbourne for the conference, and we all stayed at the same location, so we had a fun couple of days. On the last night in Melbourne, Chris Wheatley, the moderator of the Small Business Accountants Brains Trust Facebook group, the longest titled Facebook group in history, took us to his client's tiny bar called Yarra Falls, Yarra Falls, Yarra Falls, in Flinders Lane, and it was an absolute delight. So if you do visit Melbourne, please check it out. So if you like the Cloud Stories podcast, please subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks.